Hello, my dear students. This is our video number 5, and it will be a lecture on the philosophy of the German mid-19th century philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. In this video, we will tackle the first part of Nietzsche's philosophy, and we will keep the other part, the second part, for the coming video. Nietzsche was a mid-19th century German philosopher, as we said. His childhood was spent in a very religious environment because he was brought up in a devout Protestant family, and this point is very interesting in light of his future atheism, because the man, Nietzsche, as he graduates from university, will have become totally an atheist. He will have rejected Christianity, rejected all religions, rejected even the existence of God, and it is thought to be under the influence of another philosopher, Schopenhauer, that he lost his faith. So let us remember that as a child, he came from a religious environment. Now, during his high school years and university years as a student, he showed interest in certain subjects. Greek philosophy was one of them. He admired Greek philosophy, and again, this is interesting if you compare him with another famous philosopher that we already studied, and I mean René Descartes. You remember that Descartes, for example, has rejected all the philosophy that came before him, whether ancient or medieval, and for Descartes he needed to start afresh and to make a revolution and to begin doubting everything and then to start his own philosophical argument. But our Nietzsche was interested in Greek philosophy, and his attitude towards Greek philosophy will be changing across the years. Another subject that interested Nietzsche is music. He was interested in music, especially classical music, and he had a friendship with a famous musical composer, Wagner, and this friendship continued for several years, but again, due to his loss of faith, due to Nietzsche's loss of faith and his rejection of Christianity, he also later on in life abandoned his friendship with Wagner, claiming that some of Wagner's music is quote unquote too Christian. So we have a student who liked or was interested in music, and he was interested in philosophy, and also poetry was a third subject of interest to Nietzsche as a student. He was a specialist, specialized in his studies in both philology and philosophy, and he had the job of a university professor of philosophy in German universities, but he's going to resign from this job, his professorship. He will resign from the university at a relatively young age. While he was in his mid or late 30s, he will resign from this job. Now, as you see, the man would pass by a number of stages. For example, brought up as a Christian, but after graduation he lost his faith, as you find, and also having a close friendship with Wagner, but later he is going to reject this friendship, and it will even turn into a type of hostility. And when we see his attitude towards Socratic philosophy, and in particular Socratic rationalism, we will discover that his attitude changed across the times. He was attacking Socratic rationalism. Then later he became an admirer of Socratic rationalism, and for most of his later life he admired also the rationalist school of the Enlightenment, the school that was founded by Descartes. And to bring this introduction to an end, let us say that the man suffered from a form of mental instability, and later in his life he had to be institutionalized. He was placed in some medical institutions, but this fact that he had mental instability does not actually deduct from his great importance as one of the major figures in Western philosophy and in modern times in particular. Now, let us move to the point of Nietzsche's thought on Christianity. We mentioned before that Nietzsche rejected religion. He rejected Christianity because it was the religion of his people, but he rejected religion in general. He rejected actually the metaphysical world, the world beyond the one we are living in. He thought that there is nothing outside our physical existence on this earth. And he denied the existence of God. He denied religions in general, as we said. So, what specifically did he think about Christianity? First of all, he thought that it was hostile to life. It was not a religion that would allow its people to enjoy their lives to the full. It had a very dark outlook, and it all the time emphasized death and the afterlife and what would happen after people die, instead of focusing on how people can enjoy their life to a maximum point. Now, another point about his thought on Christianity is that Nietzsche considered that the virtues that are propagated by Christianity or that are part of the Christian doctrines are all what he called, quote unquote, slavish virtues. He considered that when a religion asks its people to have the virtues of meekness, compassion, submission, humility, love, cooperation, he considered that all these virtues are virtues that do not encourage people to be strong and powerful. And according to Nietzsche, all these virtues are contrasted with the major virtue, which, again, to use a concept of the Nietzschean philosophy, the virtue of the will to power. Now, this is a very important point. Nietzsche divided humanity, he divided human beings into two types: superior human beings and inferior human beings. And of course, he focused on men because actually he did not have much respect for women. To him, women were a lesser sort of being. But as for humanity in general, the superior people, they are the ones who are able to exercise and to achieve their will to power. We all have a certain form of will, and if we use this will to become powerful, to become the boss, to become dominant, to become above all others, stronger or richer, or having any form of power or authority over others, then this would cause us to belong to the superior class of human beings. But if we say that we are religious people, we are meek and humble and tender-hearted. We tend to cooperate with others and to help them and to sympathize with them, to show them our compassion if they need. If we are claiming this, then Nietzsche would say you are just weak human beings and you are not virtuous at all, because your virtues are not true virtues. They are what we can call slavish virtues. So you have a slave nature and you belong to people who are essentially the inferior class of human beings. Needless to say that the superior class are a minority in number when we are like comparing them to the majority of humanity, who, according to Nietzsche, are the inferior class who deserve to be ruled, dominated, oppressed, and this is because they are slavish in nature. Now, we come to the theory of ethics according to Nietzsche. Most philosophers who tackled the field of ethics or morals, they have their own theory. You remember, for example, that Aristotle had a theory of ethics that we called theory of the golden mean, about moderation between two extremes. Now, according to Nietzsche, his theory of ethics is of course related to his philosophy in general. For example, we just said that Nietzsche rejects the world of the metaphysics. He emphasizes our human existence on this earth, our material existence on this earth. So, when he talked about ethics, he said that morals or ethics or virtue depends on a materialistic or instrumental basis and not on a metaphysical basis. Now, what does this mean? It means that if you are honest, for example, if someone decides to say the truth and not to say any lie, or if someone decides to be honest and not to steal what doesn't belong to him, or if someone abstains from committing what we consider to be bad behavior or crimes, such as murder or rape or plunder or forgery or whatever. According to Nietzsche, this thing, which is doing good or refraining from doing bad, is not because people are interested in the metaphysical world of the religion, of fear of hell, or desire to get into heaven and to receive the heavenly rewards. No, Nietzsche rejects this, and he says people are committing so-called good actions, or people are refraining from doing so-called bad actions simply because they are going to have material gains if they do this. They are going, for example, to enjoy the respect and admiration and love of their fellow human beings, or they are protecting themselves from being put in prison or from being sentenced to death or executed. So, according to him, it is just our life on earth, our physical existence, the materialistic conditions of our existence, and this is what controls all our behavior, whether it is good or bad. Whether we do good or refrain from doing bad is because of a materialistic foundation, not because of a metaphysical foundation. Now, this is related also to another point that you have on your slide, which is the point about relativity of good and evil. For example, according to Nietzsche, there is no absolute good and there is no absolute evil. The definition of good and evil changes from one place to another and from one time to another. Again, this is not what religion is telling us. In religion, we have absolute good and absolute evil, but not in Nietzsche's philosophy. There is always this relativity. If you are a superior human being, let us say, one of Nietzsche's supermen, because we will talk about the concept of Superman later in a coming video. But if you are a superior human being and you have this will to power, according to Nietzsche, you can exercise your will to power and do things that other lesser human beings may consider to be bad, but there is no absolute bad. You can see more than them because you are superior to them, and you can do this because you have the will to power. So this is Nietzsche's theory of ethics, and you can see that it relates also to his attitude towards religion and towards Christianity, and it will be also related and it will be in the same line with the rest of his philosophical concepts that we will discuss next video inshallah. Now we have come to the end of our video. It just remains that I need to tell you the study sources of the topics mentioned in the previous slides of this video. You will have to do a deep and comprehensive reading, not a selective one, but a comprehensive one of the relevant chapter that you find in your handouts, pages 141 to 150. We wish you very good luck. Thank you.